I would argue the pinnacle of all historical sewing projects is corsets or stays. Depends on your area of choice, to be fair. What I would say, though, is that when someone uses a pattern for the first time, they probably go for something simple, like a chemise or a skirt. Right? Yeah, so my first use of a pattern was about a year ago, and I made a corset and I was going to hand sew the entire thing. So I fixed the hand sewing problem because before cutting my actual pattern out and doing the mock-up, I found the most beautiful, dusty, hand-cranked sewing machine. Okay, she needed love and a lot of cleaning, but I brought my first sewing machine for a school project. I mean, I'm not wrong when I say she's a pretty machine. Look, my first corset was stressful. There was literally blood, sweat and tears. Not to mention easily 50% of it was hand sewn when my machine then had a breakdown. We're past that now, fortunately. As you'll see by the end of this video, this is the second corset. And for reference, this is what A0 paper looks like laid out. I now have to figure out which of the lines I have to cut and... Yay! So it turns out this whole... there we go. So it turns out this whole thing's more of an arts and crafts project than I thought, because you have to, like, cut it down the middle for, like, the chemise and the petticoat, and add, like, for this one you have to add 15 inches. So I've basically had to stick 2 sheets of A3 paper together and hope I have enough to do this and the petticoat. Which, we cut the petticoat another day, but, yay, this looks so fun. Welcome to day 2 of making the prom outfit, in which we are cutting corset fabric and the chemise fabric, because I need to do that part first. Well, I need to make that one first, and then make that one before I can cut anything else, because then I'll know, like, roughly where my measurements sit. So yay. We also might make a corset cut for that. We'll be hacking apart a chemise pattern, probably. And I don't know if I could be asked to figure that out right now, though to be fair, I think I have another chemise pattern floating around somewhere. I just need to find it, because it was printed with my original corset pattern. I just never used it. So it turns out I was meant to cut it on the fold of the fabric, because I didn't think to actually read what it said on the front of the pattern, and just went for it. So we're now folding it, which actually makes it easier, because then I only have to do this twice, which means starting again. Admittedly, I'm not washing that off. That'll get washed off, like, once the garment's ready. I'll probably hand wash it in a sink, knowing me, because that's how we hand wash all of the stuff off of my patterns. Okay, goodbye. I'm going back to this fixing problem. Well, okay then, there is... Well, we bought this, there is a seam running down the middle of the entire thing. I'm assuming this is normal, but it's really quite annoying, because I think I only just have enough length of this to get the other half of the chemise in. Oh dear, this is really not going my way today. And now, folks, we have to press calico, because I've got to bring that down for the lining, and couture. Yay. So effectively, once I had fabric that could physically be ironed, I proceeded to lay it out on the table as best as I could, lay my patterns down, cut it, and hope for the best, because the great thing about the chemise is it's a loose garment, so I can just about get away with it being a little bit wonky. I mean, I'm working on it currently as I'm recording this voiceover. I think the hem's going to be wonky, because I don't think I've let it drop out for long enough, because I accidentally cut it slightly on the bias with the looks of it. Which, don't do that. Always, like, double check, triple check. I checked once that it was okay, but again, it's a loose fitting garment. It doesn't matter as much, in my opinion, if I don't get it quite right, because I didn't have time to really focus on getting this one right, because the corset had to take priority. Like, the chemise no one's going to see, the corset no one's also going to see, except for, like, it's a big part of this video. I'm really proud of it. I'm going to post pictures of it all over social media. It had to look good. So here I am. I'm pinning on... Actually, I'm not pinning. I'm using coins as a paperweight, because I don't have, like, fashion weights. I also don't want to pin it, because that takes forever and shifts it around more. So I then did my best to match up the bottom of the pattern with the grain and the fabric. So it wasn't cut quite on the grain when we brought it, so it doesn't match up exactly, which is disappointing. And you obviously don't cut it on the selvage for the hem, even though that would be much nicer. And then to do the corset, you effectively end up cutting for this one, which is one of the black snail patterns. I'll link it in the description below. You effectively end up cutting 10 panels, which... No, you cut 20. It's 10 panels per corset, 3 of which on each will be made of your lining fabric, which in my case I use a lighter calico, particularly because I'm going to be wearing it in the summer. I want it to be a bit more breathable. Could I have done a ventilated corset? Absolutely. Did I have time to do a mock-up for that? No. I don't have time to mock up most of the garments for this. The waistcoat's probably going to get cut in a calico, whizzed through my mum's machine, and then shoved on to make sure it just fits okay. And I might not even have time to do that, and we'll just have to kind of go with it. So here, as you can see, I'm trying to reduce how much waste fabric I have. I now have a very giant cabbage patch of just cut-offs, all kind of the same shapes, and I'm not doing a bustle pad now for this project, so I don't get to cut that all up into coleslaw and use it as stuffing. But we go with it. So eventually I'm going to repeat this process here many times over, and we're going to end up with a lot of pieces. And by a lot, I mean most of this sheet of fabric is going to get taken up along this bit that I'm doing, plus a bit on the next section up. So before doing any of the actual seams, I just gave it a quick test. Fortunately, everything sounded fine. So for eagle-eyed viewers who know Singer sewing machines, you will already know this is not in fact one of those. It is the Hengstenberg & Co. anchor machine, which would have been produced around 1900. How do we know that? Well, that's supposedly when this machine would have started to been produced, and also it has that little steam sailing ship logo thingy. There's also seagulls and flowers and stuff on it that help identify it, that tell us that was roughly when it was because of the company's logo or something. The slight problem we then had was actually sourcing additional needles, because I had one. So we reached out to the Forge Mill Needle Machine Museum, and they sent us a pack of needles for free, and here's my 3 extra needles, so much love to them. My bobbin ran out. I mean, I managed to attach like all of the panels, but now I have to take it out of its little bobbin thing and rewind it over here, which is a faff because you have to line it up with this tiny little pin thing. In other news that you're not going to see in this video, I bought the stuff for the May crown. It's technically a May crown. It's done in copper though. I've brought all of that today, but you're never going to see it. You'll see that in a different video, probably in the future. Like and subscribe if you want to stick around for that. But corset panels. Lining that I've now got to rip apart because my bobbin ran out. It is now... Oh, there we go. It is now technically the 3rd day of working on this wonderful corset, and we have 1 waist tape in. We're about to do the 2nd. Obviously, this is probably not the best way to do it. Is it the way I do it? Yes. Why? Because I can't be bothered to do it anyway, and also it's not on the place that it tells you to put in the pattern because I have a high waist, and therefore if I put it where it says, it digs into me in really uncomfortable ways. So, we settle for this. I mean, it worked last time, so admittedly I should probably stitch that down, but do I want to? No. Will I maybe do it a bit later? Maybe. Depends how far I get today without getting knocked. I could go closer to the edge. I think we're gonna have to. Okay, goodbye. I'm going back to doing this now. So, before I start putting in my basket, I quickly want to talk through. So this was the one that we originally got, and it's flimsy as hell. I mean, it is probably more the right length wide. However, this one, I used a very similar basket last time. The place I actually got my stuff from originally for my first corset no longer stocks things, but this was from one of the websites they recommended. This one is thicker than this one, which makes it more sturdy, and I prefer that. And also, I cannot afford a spoon basque. Like, one day we're going to make a corset with a spoon basque. It's the one that effectively just looks like a spoon, but they're like double the price of one of these. So, because we weren't expecting to have to make another corset because miscommunication happened between my teacher and I, we're making another one, so this is the one we're going with. It's a chunkier one. I've now got to put it into the corset. I'm dreading it. Send help. So, life update. I'm not actually going to show you, but I just stabbed my finger, so I now can't actually continue because, as you can see, we now stand the risk of getting lots of blood on it. Yay! And I kind of need to be able to poke things in with my finger for a bit. I could get a thimble. I think we're going to have to take a break again. I mean, we've got the other half in, we just need to be able to pin it in the right place so that this sits back as far as possible, so I can then sew it. And I'm having to use this finger because I'm trying to not get this finger that you can now see the knuckle of, trying to not get that in it too much because, yeah, I need to go deal with this. That's a decent amount of blood. Oops. I don't remember if it's day 3 or day 4 of this. It's whatever the day number is for the one after the clip you've just seen. But can we talk about like the fact that that's a pretty good curve, and that's not even laced. It's actually pinned there, and then it's got one on the back to hold on the mannequin. You might actually get started the chemise like tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to have to do pin tucks, but the fabric's cut, so we have to do it now. But it's looking good. We're going to start on the other one over here at some point. My machine. It's just so pretty. Okay, that's the other half. I've just spotted it. Also, can we just talk about that tin? Such a cool tin. It had like polyester threads in it, and I pulled them all out. And I put a sewing kit in it, which is, it looks like good next to my machine until you see that there's bright blue polyester thread, which I should probably take out. I don't know why that's in there. I use the Gutermann cottons. They're like the ones that have like the almost, the almost orangey plastic bit. And then whenever I run out, I'm going to keep all the little cases because I can use that to wind thread onto that comes off of the bobbins when I need to change colour, because we're yet to get a new one, because it's like such a precise size, which is highly annoying. I've got to work that out at some point. And it's not even done yet. So this time I've stabbed my thumb, and I'm just trying to finish the ends up where I've stitched this boning channel, which is the second one on the second half of the corset, which means we have 3 left. And the annoying thing about my machine, I have to secure all of the ends, which means hand sewing it. But now I have to stop because we don't want more blood on a white corset, so also it's the following day to the last clip. Yeah, it's going well. There's first half just chilling. Got pins in it, random ribbons. Come back to it. Oh, there we go. I am partway through the second to last boning channel that I'm ever gonna have to sew on a corset in like the next couple of years, hopefully, because I do not want to have to do this again for a while, because even though we're on target to get it done in a week, my neck's hating me now because the table is like ever so slightly too low. It's like where my eyeliners is like here if I look upwards. So obviously I'm leaning forwards. Sorry for anyone who gets motion sickness from videos, but that probably didn't help. Also, good thing I thought to get an extra white cotton because 100 meters just doesn't cut it. My best advice, if you're going to be using things like black and white a lot, or beige or something, get these ones. They're 250 meters. You can like find them online and stuff. I don't know where we got them, but this is what I used to hand sew all of the boning channels on my original corset, and I went through probably about half of one of those to make the other corset, the original corset, and that was for all of like the seams and stuff. So where I've been using this and this only, which is good because it means I'm not having to change the bobbin out constantly. It's a good thing I have more of that because I need it for like the chemise and petticoat, and that's probably going to be a lot of thread as well. Not as much as this though, because this has a lot of seams, and we're using the boning channels here to kind of hide the fact the seams are a bit dodgy because I didn't press the seams out. But to be fair, do I care? Not enough. Actually, no, it's fine. Then there's this mild issue of the corset deciding it didn't want to line up despite me pinning it meticulously to get it in place. I mean, the bulk of the sewing is done. We just have like eyelets in the back, then bias binding, and putting the lace and the flossing and the bones and finishing touches. But it is Thursday. We're gonna get the goal done. Oh wow, okay, I now need to actually go and start sorting eyelets because I have to stab holes in the back of it. Which is the worst part of this whole thing. There are 14 eyelets on each corset, half, so that means 28 in total. And we excuse the fact some of them are a bit weird. We don't know why they've done that. We also don't want to take it back out, but yeah, if I wanted, I could lace it up and it should be functional to wear. Other than the fact there's no bones and there's no bias binding, there's nothing pretty on it at the minute. So, that's Now's job. And now we have all the bias binding on it. And I'm constituting this as part of a week thing because I had to start doing revision. So, if you add it all up, it would have been completed in a week. I've now literally just got flossing to go on there and the lace to go at the top, and then we're done. We did it. We technically did it in a week. Even though the last few days, which would have counted as the final day of that week, have been like combined together to constitute as the last day because exams and revision. But oh my god, it's so pretty. I love the flossing. I love the lace. The shadow of the lace is just, it's so pretty. So obviously, it's now reveal time. We did it. By technicality, we made the corset in a week because the last day of that week had to get split across several days where I was home in the afternoon because I had to go into school for exams in the morning and I had to revise in the evenings because, you know, the GCSEs were kind of the priority over finishing the pretty stuff on the corset. It would have been entirely functional without the lace and the flossing. The flossing would have had to go on at some point because that helps stop the bones poke out at the bottom. But there's still a lot of work to do, as previously mentioned. There's a skirt and a waistcoat. The chemise is like almost done. I just have to hem it up today. I always have to cut patterns and stuff out today for the skirt and the petticoat, because I should have done that sooner, but I haven't. There are also, hopefully, a lot of straight seams. As you can see here, I'm not lacing myself in as much as I physically could. It's a little more than I probably should for the first time putting the corset on, but I'm wearing it now, like a week and a bit later as of filming this last clip, and it is so damn comfortable. It's like a permanent hug. So here's the back of the corset. As you can see, it goes gapey at the back, so what I do is I just, not what I did there with the bunny ears, I then proceeded to try and even them up. We've actually managed to get it laced up more in the back now because it's like softened. Season your corsets, people, but not with salt. I mean, it's so pretty, isn't it? I never thought I'd make a white corset, but I did. And we made it in a week on a Victorian sewing machine with minimal hand sewing and finger stabbing. That is a victory, and I'm gonna take it. Goodbye, the internet. I hope you had a good week.